Have you ever noticed that the person who gets promoted in a company is like almost always the one who just put out a massive, spectacular fire?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Throw them a party, we give them a bonus, we celebrate the rescue, but we almost never stop to ask who built a highly flammable building in the first place.
Right.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in a really fascinating, honestly kind of uncomfortable document, simply titled Field Note Number 006.
It's a great piece.
Yeah, and our mission here is to explore a deeply uncomfortable paradox about, well, how we evaluate excellence.
Yeah.
We're exploring why human beings instinctively applaud the things that break and get fixed, while completely ignoring the things that never break at all.
It really is a remarkable piece of writing because it doesn't hype you up. It doesn't offer, 5 life hacks for productivity or whatever.
Yeah, definitely no TED Talk energy here.
Right, exactly. It just sits you down as an observer and points at a dynamic that is quietly operating in the background of almost every organization on Earth. It reads like a quiet realization you might have over coffee with a colleague after a very long, a very exhausting week.
And the author anchors this entire realization in one incredibly specific visual, which I love. So for you listening, I want you to imagine an immaculate industrial test environment. You're standing on a factory floor, and right in front of you, there are 2 identical-looking machines. We are going to look at machine A first.
Okay.
So machine A has just been repaired after an unexpected, catastrophic breakdown. You could picture the scene perfectly. 3 people are clustered around it. One is scrolling through a diagnostic tablet. Another is clutching a thick maintenance report.
You've definitely been in this room before.
100 times.
Yeah.
And the floor supervisor is standing there, arms crossed, looking just visibly relieved. Someone has even slapped a temporary, brightly colored sign onto the casing that reads, "Restored to service."
Yeah, and you can instantly feel the atmospheric pressure in that description. The tension has broken.
Right.
Something monumental just happened. A crisis was narrowly averted. The production line is moving again, and the adrenaline is still just lingering in the air.
But then, right on the periphery of this scene, and this is the detail that gets me there, is a whiteboard. And this one subtle detail completely changes the context of everything we just looked at.
Yeah, the white painted.
Written in large marker is the phrase, "Incident Review, Excellent Recovery." But right underneath that, written in much smaller, almost embarrassed handwriting, it says, "Third excellent recovery this month."
And suddenly the triumph just evaporates.
Yeah.
Because that introduces this concept of the theater of recovery. The atmosphere around Machine A, the palpable relief of the supervisor, the makeshift sign, it all suggests that something highly valuable has just occurred. It feels like a victory.
I think that's mostly true, that we celebrate the recovery, although I wonder if we're accidentally rewarding something else.
How do you mean?
Well, are we rewarding the rescue while completely ignoring the recurrence? Because if it's the third time,
Right.
but let me just go devil's advocate for a second. In a high-stakes environment, whether it's a factory floor or a server room on Black Friday, you need the firefighter.
Sure.
Resolving an unexpected outage requires real, serious skill. Like understanding the failure modes of a complex system that's hard, the impossible diagnosis, the elegant on-the-fly workaround. Don't those rescue stories actually deserve the respect they get?
They do. It is a survival mechanism for an acute crisis, absolutely. Tracing a cascading failure back through a maze of dependencies that requires profound engineering expertise.
Exactly.
The issue isn't the rescue itself. Like I said, difficult problems require real expertise. But when an organization becomes addicted to that dopamine rush of the rescue, they begin focusing all their analytical energy on the response. They study the timeline of the fix. They buy new diagnostic tablets to manage the variation in the system better during the next crash.
The incident review eventually became longer than the incident.
It is a bizarre loop to get trapped in, because that raises another uncomfortable question. If all the attention, all the resources, and all the supervisors are focused on the machine that failed 3 times this month, what is happening on the other side of the room?
And this is where field note number 006 turns our attention to machine B.
Yes.
It is standing several meters away, and the very first thing you notice is that absolutely nobody's looking at it.
It's invisible.
Completely.
Yeah.
It has continued operating throughout this entire dramatic incident with machine A. And if you walk up to it, you see a neat digital production counter showing that every single expected cycle has been completed flawlessly. Beside it, clipped to a rail, is a modest preventive maintenance card. It just reads, "Inspection completed, no action required." No celebration, no audience, just uninterrupted usefulness.
It's such a brilliant juxtaposition because it exposes a major cognitive blind spot. We notice dramatic recoveries more easily than quiet prevention. Brilliance is highly visible, because it changes the situation suddenly. You're at a standstill, someone intervenes, and suddenly you're moving again.
Right.
Reliability, on the other hand, just changes the probability that a situation will occur at all.
Because it operates in the realm of probability, our brains just sort of filter it out as background noise.
Exactly. Think about the engineering principles of preventive maintenance and rigorous inspection. When reliability succeeds, there is literally nothing to report. The data point is an event that didn't occur. Tomorrow just arrives on schedule.
The preventive maintenance team accidentally achieved another month of having nothing exciting to present.
And that is the quiet tragedy of doing the job perfectly. Prevented failures do not generate impressive, upward trending charts. You cannot take a dramatic photograph of an ordinary Tuesday where the machines just ran. So the machine that receives zero attention is actually the one quietly doing all the valuable work.
We've been talking about machines and factory floors, and it makes logical sense there. But it gets slightly strange when you realize people in offices behave exactly the same way.
Oh, they absolutely do. If you map this dynamic onto a corporate environment, the translation is almost uncomfortable.
Right. We always remember the person who restored the database at midnight on a Saturday. We tell stories about them, we buy them coffee, we put them on the fast track for promotion.
Yeah.
But we rarely remember the person whose rigorous operational discipline prevented the previous 100 midnight calls. Usually when you have someone successfully managing that kind of chaotic rescue over and over, the company calendar calls it operational resilience. They get awards for being resilient under pressure.
That sounds right until you remember how organizations actually behave.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
Well, occasionally the hero and the recurring emergency are part of the same system.
Wait, really? Explain the mechanism there. How does the hero create the emergency?
It's about incentive structures. If you are the person who is uniquely capable of fixing a catastrophic failure, and you are constantly praised and socially elevated for fixing that failure, there's very little incentive for you to build a system where the failure doesn't happen.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
In fact, your value to the company is directly tied to the system remaining slightly broken. The maintenance team might use a much shorter term for that kind of operational resilience.
So there is a very peculiar career disadvantage to being so dependable that nothing dramatic ever happens around you.
Yes.
If you're listening to this right now and you're the person who quietly fixes the spreadsheets before the Monday morning meeting so they don't blow up, this pain intimately, you are machine B.
You are. Because what does a truly reliable colleague actually look like in practice? They document what they change so the next person isn't flying blind. They test their assumptions instead of guessing. They communicate uncertainty early, long before it metastasizes into a surprise.
There's a specific detail from the text that I love here.
Oh, the personality line.
Yes. It says the reliable colleague replaces the component before it develops a personality.
That is such a precise way to phrase it. We have all worked with a machine or a piece of legacy software that has a personality. You have to jiggle the handle or run the script twice on Thursdays.
Let's define what that actually means technically, though. What is a personality in an engineering context? You're really talking about tolerance, right? Like a physical wiggle room.
Precisely. In a mechanical engineering, if a gear has 2 millimeters of play that it shouldn't have, that is unmanaged tolerance. Over time, that slight wobble causes vibration, which causes wear, which eventually rattles the entire machine apart.
Right.
In software, it's that one block of spaghetti code no one wants to refactor. It is variation that an organization has decided to accept instead of fixing. The reliable engineer removes the personality and replaces it with predictability.
But if we extend that metaphor to human behavior, it's equally damaging. Think about a team learning to tiptoe around a volatile manager. You aren't fixing the manager's temper. You're just building an elaborate, exhausting system of workarounds. That's unmanaged tolerance in human form.
Yes.
You're just absorbing the friction. The reward for becoming the dependable colleague is often becoming everyone's default plan.
Exactly. You absorb the friction so others don't have to. You become the human shock absorber. And this creates a massive disparity in how we evaluate excellence. We enthusiastically reward the memorable adrenaline-fueled intervention, but we completely overlook the disciplined preventative practice that made the intervention unnecessary in the first place.
I don't think this is about engineering or machinery at all anymore. I think it's about attention.
Attention. Walk me through that.
Think about what a reliable system or a reliable person actually does. It doesn't repeatedly ask for admiration.
Hmm.
When machine B is running perfectly, what it's actually doing is quietly returning attention to everyone else in the room. It preserves the organization's collective cognitive bandwidth so they can do valuable work.
That is a crucial distinction. It's caloric energy saved. When a system is unreliable, it constantly demands your attention. It forces you to context switch. By absorbing that friction, the reliable colleague is essentially gifting focus back to the team.
Mhm.
And we should be very clear here. This is not an argument against brilliance.
Right, right. We are saying innovation is bad.
Exactly. Brilliance is essential. It solves extraordinary problems. It creates the breakthrough. If we go back to the engineering terminology, a machine that performs brilliantly once is a prototype. And prototypes are vital. They show us what is suddenly miraculously possible.
But a machine that performs correctly 10,000 times is infrastructure. Brilliance expands what is possible, but reliability makes what is possible dependable. You can't scale a prototype. Progress cannot safely compound without repeatability.
If you cannot repeat the result, if you cannot tolerate ordinary variation, and if you cannot have other people maintain the system without constant agonizing vigilance, you don't have a system, you just have a very stressful party trick.
Yeah.
And this is why reliability requires so much more discipline than brilliance. Reliability is simply brilliance that has learned to repeat itself through documentation and rigorous verification.
That completely reframes how we look at professional maturity. It's not just about who can solve the hardest, most complex problem on the whiteboard. It's about who quietly reduces the total number of hard problems that everyone else must solve.
Think about the highest compliment you can receive in any profession. When a colleague looks at a complex, messy, entangled situation and simply says, "I'll take care of it."
Oh, wow. Yeah. And the matter just quietly and completely leaves your working memory. You don't have to set a calendar reminder to follow up. You don't have to double check their math. Your brain just lets it go.
Because trust isn't built through one spectacular act of heroism. Trust is accumulated predictability. It grows through hundreds of small, boring promises repeatedly kept. When someone says, "I'll take care of it," and your brain actually lets it go, that means they have built up enough accumulated predictability that your nervous system feels safe releasing its attention.
I love that phrase, accumulated predictability.
Yeah.
But it's so wildly counterintuitive to how we structure our rewards, though.
Yeah.
We give out plaques and promotions for the heroic midnight rescue. We do not give out plaques for a year of incredibly boring Tuesdays.
Because the boring Tuesday is the baseline expectation. But achieving that baseline requires immense continuous effort. It requires looking at the microscopic wear on a bearing, understanding the cascading failure mode, checking the tolerances, and taking physical action long before the system forces you to. It requires an incredible amount of active preventative labor to create a day where absolutely nothing happens.
It's the difference between expanding the map and actually paving the roads. Both are necessary, but we only seem to throw parades for the explorers.
And if your incentive structures only elevate the people who discover new territory or fight off the immediate threats, eventually you find yourself in a very large territory with absolutely no infrastructure to support you. You have a massive amount of potential and completely zero dependability.
So for you listening to this right now, I want you to pause and reflect on your own professional life for a moment. Think about the person you trust most at work. When you really picture them, are they the loudest thinker in the room? Are they the one constantly running into the burning building, carrying out the rescued project at the very last second while everyone applauds? Or are they the person whose work is so consistent, so quietly rigorous, that they completely remove the matter from your mind?
It forces you to rethink your own behavior, doesn't it? Brilliance gives us stories, but reliability gives us systems we can actually trust. Brilliance earns the applause because it is inherently a performance, but reliability becomes part of the structure itself.
It becomes the foundation. We have spent this entire deep dive looking at why our brains are so easily seduced by the theater of recovery and why the quiet, disciplined work of prevention is so easily ignored.
We're wired for the rescue.
We are. But reading field note number 006 leaves me with one final, slightly uncomfortable question for you to mull over. If reliability is essentially invisible, and we naturally promote the people we see saving the day, how long can an organization survive before its leadership is composed entirely of firefighters who have forgotten how to build fireproof rooms? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.